They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. If we were literally talking about an old dog, I'd say, why not just let it relax? Do you really need to make it work for his treats at that point? I mean, give it a break. But when talking about the human brain and its ability to learn and retain new information with age, I'm here to tell you that you can, in fact, teach an old dog new tricks. Neuroplasticity is the lifelong capacity of the brain to change and rewire itself in response to the stimulation of learning and experience, as defined by Dr. Elkin Goldberg in his 2009 book, A Sharp Brain's Guide to Brain Fitness. The human brain reaches full development for most individuals around the age of 25. Many worry that their ability to learn and retain new information will deteriorate past this point in their lives. According to information provided by Dr. Judith Graham, a human development specialist at the University of Maine, in her Cooperative Extension Bulletin, it is true that the amount of synapses in your brain will decrease by roughly half of what they were as a toddler by the end of adolescence. Therefore, our brains will not be as malleable to new information as they once were. Today, I'm going to be talking about what neuroplasticity is, how it works, and how to accelerate adulthood neuroplasticity. It is possible to continue to learn at a high level well after we finish schooling. First, I'm going to be talking about what neuroplasticity is, by talking about the two types of plasticity and by defining plasticity. Neuroplasticity can occur both voluntarily and involuntarily. Involuntary plasticity would likely occur from an accident or brain damage of some sort and likely negatively impact your life. But when I speak today, I'm going to be talking about voluntary plasticity, or adaptive plasticity. According to Dr. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist at Stanford University, in his 2021 podcast, The Huberman Lab, adaptive plasticity involves how to shape your thinking, how to shape your behavior, and how to shape how you're able to perform in any context. Plasticity is a process of neurons changing their connections in the way they work so that actions and behaviors that once required a lot of effort and strain now become reflexive. Take learning guitar, for example. With no prior experience, trying to pick up a guitar and play your favorite song all the way through would likely be very difficult for you and require a lot of effort and focus. However, through practice and repetition, you can actually rewire your brain so that eventually you're able to play that song easily all the way through while simultaneously singing it and jumping around on stage. I like that person. So now that I've gone over what neuroplasticity is, I'm going to be talking about how it works, by talking about what's happening in your brain physiologically, and by talking about the 4 ways the brain changes. Physiologically, neuroplasticity works by neurons and synapses in your brain increasing in number to develop your brain's neural circuitry as a response to experience. According to the How Does This Work article from the National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine, your brain changes in 4 ways: through neurogenesis, through new synapses, through strengthened synapses, and through weakened synapses. Think of your brain's neurons as members in a game of telephone, where information is being communicated back and forth. And throughout the game, new members are joining in with new information to pass along. That would be considered neurogenesis. Now, as these new members join in and pass along their information, they start to become friends with other members who relate to the same information. That would be considered new synapses, or new neural connections. As more and more new members join in, the bigger the friend group of members who relate to the same information becomes. That would be considered strengthened synapses. Lastly, members who are still spreading old information that nobody wants to hear or nobody really relates to will either leave the game or not be invited into other members' friend group. That would be considered weakened synapses, or essentially your brain forgetting information that it no longer needs. So now that I've gone over how neuroplasticity works, I'm going to be talking about how to accelerate adulthood neuroplasticity by talking about the 2 key factors of accelerating plasticity and by talking about mindfulness practice. The 2 key factors of accelerating adulthood neuroplasticity are alertness and focus, and also deep rest. In his previously mentioned work, Dr. Andrew Huberman states that acetylcholine and epinephrine need to be released in your brain through deliberate and intense focus in order to best retain subject matter. This requires pushing your brain's focus past the point of mental fatigue and into an agitative state. So along with this intense focus, you must also give your brain proper deep rest in order to best retain subject matter. Research states that following sessions of exerting intense focus with 20-minute periods of giving your brain deep rest have been shown to accelerate plasticity. So what this means is when you're trying to focus or learn something, you must focus on that as intensely as possible and then follow that with 20 minutes of rest of some sort. It doesn't have to be sleep. It can be sitting on a couch or anything that you're not focusing on too intently. So intense focus can be difficult for the average untrained brain to sustain. However, your brain's ability to focus can also be improved. According to Megan Call at the University of Utah in her 2019 article, How to Use Your Brain's Malleability to Improve Your Well-Being, through regular mindfulness practice and meditation, attention, memory, and emotional regulation can all be improved, which is essentially using neuroplasticity to accelerate neuroplasticity. So today, hopefully you learned a little bit more about what neuroplasticity is, how it works, and how to accelerate adulthood neuroplasticity. Whoever said you can't teach an old dog new tricks must have never heard about neuroplasticity.